Hey everybody, this is Hyperion here. Today I'm going to be bringing you another monk video, a monk guide, another DPS monk guide. And this guide I'm going to try and make for this is a monk build that will work for no matter what type of gear you have. The last build I put up was very specific in the gear that you had to have. You had to have the Raiment of the Thousand Storm set. This gear, or this build, will work with whatever gear you have. So this is just a good starter DPS monk build that'll work from normal up to about Torment 5 is where I start noticing that's a little bit weak in the damage area. So, anyways, I do have the full Raiment of the Thousand Storm set, so that's what I'm wearing right now, but you can, whatever gear you have, you can throw on there, whatever gives you the best stats. So anyways, just to go quickly over the actual build that I'm going to be using, and then I'll go over some of the gear that I would suggest you use. Anyways, first off, on my one key, I've got Epiphany with Inner Fire. This is just a really great skill because the Epiphany gives you 20 spirit per second, which will let you spam your primary spirit spender, which for this build is going to be the Lashing tail kick. I like Inner Fire just because of that proc. It says engulf your, blah blah blah. Let's see. Yeah, it says engulf yourself in flames, causing your attacks to assault enemies for 353% weapon damage as fire. I think with fire gear this is going to be a more powerful, but they don't really have a decent lightning ruin. So I just like this one because even with lightning gear, this still does decent AoE damage, and you can see it'll proc and hit a lot of enemies and do some pretty good damage no matter what. But the main reason that I use this is for the increased spirit. If you're a little bit weak, you could use something like Desert Shroud or Soothing Mist. Either one works great. On my 2 key, I'm going to be using Sweeping Wind with Cyclone. And this is so powerful because I'm a lightning monk, so I want to go with a lightning rune. If you're a fire, this build works pretty similar or almost identical if you're a fire monk, but you just want to go with like the fire runes on all of these skills that I'm talking about. Anyways, so for a lightning monk, you're going to want to use Sweeping Wind Cyclone. That does pretty good AoE damage, especially when you get those little cyclones shooting through the enemy mobs. You're going to want to use a mantra. I like Mantra of Retribution with Transgression. It gives you a pretty good attack speed bonus that lets you generate spirit faster and do more damage. But you could go with any of them. If you're a little weak, you could switch to Mantra of Healing. Sometimes I'll do that, like up in Torment 5 or so. Or you could go with Mantra of Conviction. This one works really great, either Overwrought or I like also Annihilation. If you're trying to get speedruns in, Annihilation is fantastic. But anyways, most Mantra of Evasion is really not worth using whatsoever. So I'd stick with Mantra of Retribution, Transgression, or Mantra of Conviction, Mantra of Healing if you really need it. Okay, now we're going to get to your primary damage dealer. This is going to be Lashing tail kick. And like I said, this build works for the fire monks as well if you're going to go fire. And in that case, you'd want to use the Vulture Claw kick or the Spinning Flame kick. Either one will work. But since this is a lightning build, we're going to want to go with Scorpion Sting. So on my number 4, I've got Lashing tail kick with Scorpion Sting. Okay, our spirit generator is going to be, I personally like Deadly Reach with Scattered Blows. That does really good AoE damage. I'd really recommend you go with that one. The other ones I've always just kind of found a little bit weak, especially after they nerfed some of them at the beginning of the patch 2.0. And then my personal favorite, and I think if you're going to play monk, no matter what build you're doing, you should have Dashing Strike equipped. And I like Quicksilver. I find it to be the most useful because it gives you 3 charges. You could also use Way of the Falling Star, which gives you a 20% increased movement speed. After that, just a quick speed burst. Either one works fine, but I definitely would say no matter what build you're doing, no matter what, always use Dashing Strike as a monk. Okay, the passives I'm running Seize the Initiative for obvious reasons. Gives you some good armor, especially when you've got like almost 10,000 dexterity like I do. That'll give you a good bit of armor. Exalted Soul, I just like this because it gives me more spirit reserves and it increases spirit regeneration by just a little bit. You can switch it out for like Transcendence if you're a little bit weak. You could also switch out for Resolve or Momentum, Unity. You know, there's some decent options there that you can use. One with Everything, obviously pretty much every monk uses that. My personal resistance is Lightning, and as you can see with One with Everything up, I've got about 1,200, 1,200, almost 1,300 all resist, which is pretty good. And then I like, for solo play, I really like Mythic Rhythm. You can get into a decent rhythm with using your spirit generators and then your spirit spenders, and that'll make your Lashing Tail Kick do a lot more damage if you use Mythic Rhythm. But if you're in a party, another really good option is using Unity. But the one thing you really got to make sure of is if you're going party play and are going to use Unity, you have to use Mantra of Retribution or Mantra of Healing. Mantra of Conviction won't work because Mantra of Conviction actually affects the enemies in your party, or not your party, sorry, the enemies around you, not the allies in your party, whereas Mantra of Retribution, Mantra of Healing affect allies, which is what the requirement is for Unity to work. It has to affect your allies. Anyways, so that's just that's the build I'm using. The gear, there's a couple of options, and this is the main stuff I want to talk about. Most of the gear is pretty standard. Just try and get, decent stats on all of it. That's about all I can say. Your gloves, critical hit chance, critical hit damage is going to be important. Bracers, critical hit chance. Amulet, the standard. This is a monk. This is a lightning build, so you can see I stack lightning resist on a lot of my items. But there's a couple of things that you can do, a couple of different options. First is if you're using Lashing Tail Kick like this build does, there's a really powerful Spirit Stone, the Gyanan Akashu. It says whenever you do use your Lashing Tail Kick, you release a fireball, and for mine it's 365% weapon damage to all enemies within 10 yards on impact. That's really powerful. It gives you a lot of good damage on that, single target and AoE. So if you've got one of these, definitely equip it for this build. They're really great. And actually, like if you see here, I have the Spirit Stone, Eye of the Storm, which gives me 29% more lightning damage. I've actually playtested this against GOM, and this Gyanan Akashu, with that proc from Lashing Tail Kick, actually does more damage than that steady 30% increase lightning damage. So that's just something to know. If you can get this, this is the best helmet for a Lashing Tail Kick build. Otherwise, try and get a Eye of the Storm or an Andariel's Visage. Those would be the best options. For weapons, I'm using a Thunder Fury and a Shard of Hate. Again, these are, your weapons are kind of more or less up to you. The general for a lightning build in particular, generally the weapons you're going to want to use is a combination of the Thunder Fury, the Shard of Hate, the Wan Kim Lao, or the Odin Sun. Any combination of those weapons is going to be your best bet. The lightning proc from Thunder Fury, just so you know, is not affected by your lightning damage increase from your armor. So it's just going to have a set lightning proc and a set damage on that. However, the lightning proc on the Shard of Hate is affected by that lightning damage. So the more lightning damage you get, the higher this proc is going to be. And that goes for the same with the Odin Sun here. That acts the exact same way. The lightning proc scales with your lightning damage. The other option here is a Wan Kim Lao, and that increases your lightning damage by up to 25%, which is really powerful. Most other weapons, like here the Odin Sun, it only increases it by 20%. I've actually done some play testing and found out that the combination, like a Wan Kim Lao and a Shard of Hate, or the Shard of Hate Thunder Fury combination, it does the same damage. So even though you're losing that 30% lightning damage, the proc from the Thunder Fury makes up for that. So either way, those are some good combinations to have. Anyways, that's about it for this build and for this gear. I think, the playstyle is pretty explanatory for that, so I'm not going to give you guys a real demonstration of that. But this build works really great, and it'll work really well in Torments 1 through 4. Torment 5, you can still do it, and I've used this build before there. You just start feeling a little bit low on the damage end. But it works great in all the, normal all the way up. So anyways, I hope you guys find this build and guide helpful. I'm going to try and get up some more guides. I want to get up a barbarian guide, just for a standard barbarian guide, not something that's gear specific like the Earthquake build I put up before. And hopefully I'll maybe get a couple Witch Doctor builds up for you guys. Anyways, I hope you guys are enjoying the videos. If you like my videos, please subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later.